Assalamu alaikum dear students. Today we are going to discuss Of Death by Francis Bacon. Men fear death as children fear to go in the dark, and as that natural fear in children is increased with tales, so is the other. Here Francis Bacon discusses mortal dread death as much as children fear to go out in darkness. Such fear is inborn, but gets when we get to hear horrific accounts worn around death and the perils of darkness. Certainly, the contemplation of death as the wages of sin and passage to another world is the holy and religious, but the fear of it as a tribute due unto nature is weak. Here he discusses thinking of death is a normal trait, thinking about with the characteristic of a profoundly wise man. In the same vein, worrying about the consequences of committing a sinful act is the sign of a noble mind. A holy and religious person has these traits. On the contrary, fearing death as a possible retribution of nature is not correct. Fearing death cannot be a way of acknowledging the supremacy of nature. Despite awareness among humans about such a folly, prayers or similar religious practices are often underlined by a sense of futility. A lot of superstition might be intertwined with the sermons and prayers. Some religious gurus or preachers ask their followers to inflict a certain manner on themselves to realize how painful inflicting pain or death on others could be to the victims. By doing this, one is impelled to experience remorse for being the cause of others' suffering. One can die suffering less pain than one's limbs are wounded. A person's vital parts such as heart, brain, lungs, kidney, etc. do not experience as much. And by him that spake only as a philosopher and neutral man, it was well said, Pompa groans and a discolored face and friends weeping and blacks and obsequies and the like show death terrible. With his deep understanding of philosophy, he said, the thought of approaching death scares human more than the death itself. Basically, that's the point. What makes the advent of death more horrifying is the dying man's wails and groans, and the breast-beating expression of frustrations of his near and dear ones who flock to his side. Such of sorrowful voices makes death appear much more frightening than it really is. It is worthy the observing that there is no passion in the mind of man so weak, but it mates and master the fear of death, and therefore death is no such terrible enemy. When a man hath so many attendants about him that can win the combat of him. Seen from different angle, a dying man has so many near and dear ones maintaining vigil ground that he does not feel loneliness. Uncared for, abundant as he bides to this world, so death bring salvation from suffering and the ravages of dotage that should bring great relief to the dying person. When the popular emperor killed himself, his subjects were with grief. The wave of sympathy for the departed emperor drove some of his subjects to suicide as their burden of sorrow become unbearable. When someone takes revenge and succeeds to kill his victim, he feels he has won. Death is considered to be spiteful to love as it serves the link between the victim and the person whose heart is filled with love. Death is considered as a vindication of honor. On the other hand, a dying man's mind is preoccupied with the thoughts of death. Serena, the renowned philosopher, said so wisely, think of it as long as you do. Wanted to die? Not only the brave or unhappy, but also it can be very dangerous. In simple language, it means that one will be well advised to think and welcome death as it brings deliverance from the life's sorrows and sufferings. One's life can be too dangerous to endure, and in such a situation, death brings relief and peace. A man would die though he were neither valiant for miserable, only upon a weariness to do the same things so oft over and over. A man may be leading a placid, uneventful life with no thrills or no excitement. It may not be, you can say, nor even sorrowful. However, life may be too painful to endure with a long period. It is no less worthy to observe how little alteration in good spirits the approaches of death make, for they appear to be the same men till the last instant. When a man stands on the doorway to death, he often welcomes it, thinking that it would free him from the monotony of leading the same unchanging life day after day, seeing the same faces over and over again. Here he is going to say about the Caesar, farewell Livia, and forget not the days of our marriage. Looking at Caesar's defiant words, his powers of body are gone, but his power to conceal his feelings still remains. Just sitting upon the stool commented, as I think I am becoming a god. Holding forth Caesar's neck, Galba commented, strike, if it be for the good of Rome. Said, be at hand, if there is anything more for me to do. The philosopher attached a lot of importance to death. They made elaborate preparations to usher in death when the time came. Such preparation, however, added the dread of death. Better saith he, wise people used to say, how accounts to close of life as one of the benefits of nature. Meetings and parting is the go of the world. The cycle of birth and death is unbreakable. One has to born, one has to die. Basically, that's a natural process. One has to die and other has to die. One has to born and other has to die. There is no respite from this. For an infant, both the process of being born and dying are equally painful. A person, you can say, pursuing success is too immersed in his pain of any possible hurt of journey. A valiant soldier seldom feels pain when he gets wounded in the process of fighting in the battlefield. But above all, believe it, the sweetest, when a man hath obtained worthy ends and expectation, death has this also, that it openeth the gate to good fame and Here, in conclusion, Bacon extols the virtues of violently pursuing the dying for a noble cause. Basically, that's the point he is going to conclude. We have to also think now where we are going. When a man dies while engrossed in his work or in the battlefield, he attains great fame and wins a lot of adulation even from those who loathed and envied him during his lifetime. That's all. Thank you.